I visited 20 different countries in 2024. 20 different countries across nearly every continent on the globe. I ate hundreds of meals throughout the course of the year, from Peru to Poland to India to Japan and beyond. And many were mind-blowingly delicious, but at the end of the day, the best of the best will always find their way to the top. This video is to celebrate them, the top 15 meals I ate this year from around the entire globe. Meals that absolutely cannot be missed if you manage to find your way to these countries. Which country will take the #1 spot? Stick around to find out. At number 15 on the list, we start in Osaka, the kitchen of Japan. The second biggest city in Japan, Osaka is known across Asia for its incredible food scene. Ramen shops are a dime a dozen in Japan, but that's what makes this one even more special. At Ramen Q Dotonbori, which is just a short distance from the iconic Running Man sign and flashing lights of the Dotonbori district, you will find a line of hungry customers waiting around the block. The food in question? Spicy pork ramen. It may be a Japanese classic, but every true ramen fan knows that the magic of a great bowl lies in the quality of the broth. This broth is a 10 out of 10. It's spicy, but not overpowering. The flavor is so bold and creative and in your face, but only in the best way imaginable. The pork was super tender and extremely flavorful, and the ramen took on all the juices of the broth and the pork in the most slurpable deliciousness you could ever imagine. Ramen in Japan is always amazing, but this was on another level. The best ramen I've ever had, hands down. Food in Georgia is so underrated. If you love bread and carbs and eggs, you'll be in heaven. Georgia's most famous food is khachapuri, which is quite simple. It's basically bread filled with cheese and egg. But the beauty of a nation that specializes in such a simple dish is that many restaurants put their own unique spin on it and ultimately come up with some amazing cuisine on the other side. At number 14, I have Shavilomi in Tbilisi, Georgia. Shavilomi is located in a pretty residential area, and it's an easy restaurant to miss. It almost feels like it's an open secret of sorts. But once you've made your way inside, it's super beautiful and feels really elevated. The khachapuri here is the Imaruli variety, which admittedly doesn't quite look as appealing on video as its Ajarian counterpart, but don't let the appearance fool you. The flavor of the cheese combinations here just melts in your mouth. This was iconic. It's not the most nutritious dish on the list, but it's a winner. Best thing I had in the Caucasus this year, and an absolute must-try in Tbilisi. Number 13 might be a surprise to you. It was certainly a surprise to me. Fat Fuck Smash Burger in Prague. Now, Czechia isn't exactly known for its food around the globe, and certainly not its burgers. However, I stand by the statement I made at the time, that the burger I ate at Fat Fuck Smash Burger is the best one that I have ever had in my life. It's not just that it's juicy and covered in cheese. It's not just that it had a great choice of bread and the perfect selection of toppings, or even that the fries were crisp and delicious. No. The difference here was freshness. The burger tasted so authentic. I think coming from the US, there are certain levels of hormones and such that infiltrate meat, and this meat in particular just had a level of purity to it that I hadn't experienced in a burger before or since. In fact, now that I think of it, all the greasy American-style food I had in Prague was incredible. Maybe from now on we go to Prague not to eat Czech food, but to eat elevated, greasy American food? Maybe? This list wouldn't be complete without some Thai food on it, and at number 12, Bon Tatien Cafe in Bangkok was one of the most delicious and also most precious culinary experiences I have ever had. I ordered a simple meal after a day of exploring Wat Pho, pad thai, and a Thai iced tea. It's a meal that I've had 100 times. I'm a huge fan of Thai food and tend to order it often no matter where I'm presently located. This was just better than the pad thai I've had anywhere else. It was such a pleasant surprise because based on its location, I was certain that it would just be a tourist trap with low quality food. But despite that, it was undoubtedly the #1 pad thai I had over 5 weeks in Thailand. And that's saying something. If you're visiting Bangkok, you will certainly visit Wat Pho at one point or another, and I highly recommend making a stop for pad thai at Bon Tatien Cafe when you do. I feel weird and awkward adding this one to the list because I don't know the name of the restaurant. Look, I've tried putting it into a translator, but I've had little luck. So if you're Korean, please put the name of this place into the comments. Thank you, I appreciate it so much. Anyway, this was a restaurant that had no business being any good. I took a day tour in Busan, South Korea, and the guide brought us here for lunch. And it was easily the best meal I ate during my entire month in Korea. Aside from the delicious and varied banchan, which are the starters that come with many meals for free in Korea, the stir-fried pork main dish was an absolute standout. I rarely choose pork over other options. I wouldn't even have ordered this if not for the guide's suggestion, but it was such a great, sweet, spicy combo, and the pork itself was so tender and well prepared that it really took me pleasantly by surprise. The restaurant is located at the base of Busan Geopark, and if you're interested in visiting, I'll put the link to the tour that brought me there down in the description below. In a year where I was almost never in the US, you might be surprised to find barbecue entering this list. You might be even more surprised to see it coming by way of Hong Kong. The barbecue pork and rice I had at Menhua Bingtang made me audibly gasp. I clutched my metaphorical pearls. The combination of egg and barbecue flavor, I quickly learned is super underutilized. The two flavors play so well together, and coupled with the thick, sticky rice and the tender pork, it just works. I loved it so much, I actually was tempted to go a second time even though I only had a few days in Hong Kong. I also recognize that in the last segment I said I am almost never a pork fan, and I have now shown you pork twice in a row and 3 times out of 6. Am I full of shit? I don't eat at fancy restaurants often, but thanks to the generosity of 2 friends who came to visit me in Japan, I had the luxury of eating at a high-end restaurant in the small lake and onsen town of Hakone. Hakone is stunning. It's a common day trip out of Tokyo where you can see Mount Fuji and shrines and ride pirate ships and eat eggs that were cooked in a volcano. But you can also grab a meal at Ito Dining by Nobu, and if you do, it will change your life. We had quite a few courses, as is usually the case at high-end places, but the star of the show, and what we came for, was Japan's famous Kobe beef. Kobe beef is so expensive, I was sure that this could not possibly live up to the hype. It did, and then some. This might sound like an exaggeration, but truly, eating this meal changed what I think is possible for meat. Like, I literally didn't know that a piece of meat could possibly taste as good as this tasted. Unbelievable. The only reason it isn't higher on the list is because it was so simple. You know, it's meat. But man, it was a special moment. Very special meal on a great day in Hakone. I went everywhere in India. Everywhere. You knew it was going to show up on this list sooner or later, and here it is coming through at number 8. I'm a huge fan of chicken tikka masala, and I know a lot of other people are too. I had it quite a few times and across multiple different cities and regions in India, but my favorite had to be from Pinch of Spice in Agra. It was recommended to me by my auto rickshaw driver, and it delivered. Just a classic case of a meal that I know and love and am very familiar with, just being fed to me perfectly in its nation of origin. I mean, just look at this curry. It even looks like a stunning and beautifully prepared meal. Pinch of Spice also has the benefit of being located in one of the most tourist-heavy cities in the nation of India. So if you happen to be spending a day exploring the Taj Mahal, trust me, make a stop over at Pinch of Spice afterwards. So good. If you, I don't know, ever want to surprise me with a meal, if it has barbecue sauce and chipotle mayo, no matter what else is involved, I will probably love it. So, in Thessaloniki, Greece, when I had the chance to order a pita just covered in delicious Greek steak and loaded up with barbecue sauce and spicy mayo, I think I might have actually ascended to heaven. Let me put this into perspective for you. I was in Thessaloniki for only about 2 days. I ate here twice. I never go back and revisit restaurants, and this was one of the only real meals I ate in Greece. At number 6, I might have a meal to show you that you've never even heard of before. I mean, I never had, and it's surprising because people from the West tend to latch on to Japanese food pretty aggressively, but for whatever reason, this hasn't made its way over yet. The iconic dish of Hiroshima, Japan is the okonomiyaki, and nowhere does it better than Nagataya. Just steps away from the atomic bomb's ground zero drop point, you can have a meal that is both a joy to eat and a joy to watch being prepared. Okonomiyaki is a dish that sort of uses egg as a base to congeal lettuce and noodles and meat and whatever else you'd like all together, and then sauce and mayo is placed on the top. You sort of cut it apart, almost like it's a pizza. It's a really fun experience in more ways than one, and I really loved it. You've got to try this at least once in your life. We are in the top 5 now, and if you've seen just how much I've enjoyed the meals up until this point, it might be hard to believe there are still 5 left. I know, it's crazy. It was a good food year. Wrocław, Poland has been good to me. I made a video about Wrocław, and at the time of recording, it remains by far the most popular video on this channel. The Polish people have really embraced that story, and it means a lot to me. So thank you, Polish friends, truly. You've given me the push to keep making more YouTube videos. A big part of that story were my 2 visits to Stary Mirin Pyrogarnia. And in that video, Stary Mirin was more of a plot point. It wasn't exactly a food video per se, so I didn't get to talk quite enough about just how delicious this was. These pierogi, which I now know is already plural thanks to literally hundreds of comments about it, despite what advertising in the US is telling us, these pierogi were a game changer for me. I had eaten an Americanized version of this for my entire life, so having the real deal and having them prepared by a proper Polish restaurant no less was an iconic moment, not just for this year, but in my entire life. Love this restaurant, love pierogi, whether baked or boiled or otherwise. Absolute game changer. Very excited to go back to Poland in 2025, and thank you again to the Polish people for showing up for me in 2024. Things did not go perfectly for me in Cusco. I meant to see Machu Picchu, but due to protests taking place at the time, I was unable to go. The silver lining? Discovering the incredible food of Cusco. I ate just a few meals there, and several of them were among the best things I've ever had. The best? Chicalina. It's a tapas restaurant with a gorgeous view overlooking the city. I stopped in on a suggestion from my Airbnb host, and myself and my friend Caroline were both just floored. We had these little chicken mayo avocado bites, and they absolutely blew our minds. As far as one round of tapas goes, this has to be the best that I have had anywhere. It's a bit of an elevated experience at Chicalina, but the prices are still super reasonable, and we were able to walk in for lunch in some very casual outfits. Honestly, I would go back to Cusco just to eat here again, even if I were still unable to get into Machu Picchu. Crazy good. Speaking of tapas, number 3, numero 3, the bronze medal position, Quimet i Quimet in Barcelona. I'll suggest this place to everyone forever. It was one of the coolest, if not the coolest, culinary experiences of my entire life, and I'll never forget it. Quimet i Quimet is a tapas bar in the Poblesek neighborhood, and it is owned by a father-son pair who both work in the restaurant to this day. I had the luxury of being served by the son and having the food prepared by the father. Amazing. I knew so little about tapas and was honestly a little intimidated by the whole thing. But what made this experience so special was that everything was curated. I sort of explained to Quimet the kind of food that I liked and what I didn't like, and I had an entire multi-course tapas meal prepared for me based on that information. And it was mind-blowing. I also loved that they forced me out of my comfort zone. I specifically told them that I didn't really like seafood, and they proceeded to give me several pieces of tapas that incorporated seafood. It was a huge risk on their part. I easily could have sent it back, but they know their food is good, and if I was willing to try it, I would be rewarded. And I was. This was crazy. I was still finding my footing as a digital nomad back in February, so having this meal in Barcelona was really special. Please go there. It was one of my favorite experiences all year long. Number 2, the silver medal position. And I mean, is it any surprise? We had to have Japan back up here again in the top 3. This time, we're in the capital city itself, Tokyo. And I'm talking about another amazing Japanese meat experience at Gyukatsu. Katsu doesn't look especially appetizing. It's sort of like crispy, breaded, yet uncooked meat. But if you think that this meat won't taste absolutely delicious, you are wrong. It will change your life. You're given these candles and hot plates and have the ability to cook the meat to your own preference. But the dips are what take the meat to the next level. What sets this apart from the Kobe meal in Hakone is that it feels totally complete all by itself, with the raw egg for dipping and the fresh wasabi and the curry flavored sauces and rice and seasonings. You have so many different flavor options even within this single spread of meat. Whether you get it here or elsewhere, katsu is a must when you're in Japan, but you should go here. Number 1, the best meal of 2024. And if I'm being honest, the best meal I have ever had in my entire life. Ready? Coming to you from Istanbul, Turkey, it's Kosebashi, a Turkish food joint known for their kebabs and breads and everything else under the sun. This is it, the top dog, the gold medal meal. Now, I'll admit that in finding this, I had a huge leg up. I have a local friend from Istanbul who has lived there for his entire life, and he knew the best spot to bring me in the entire city. And he was right. He also knew exactly what to order, and that was basically just one of everything. We ate good in Kosebashi. I could barely keep the conversation going because every bite I tried of everything was so good that it was preventing me from keeping my focus. We had a Turkish pizza and some incredible cheese and a life-changing kebab. I mean, especially when paired with this balloon bread and hummus, just all on another level. Kosebashi is admittedly a bit out of the way. It's over on the Asian side of Istanbul and is somewhat away from the primary tourist attractions. But man, in a sea of tourist traps and mediocre options in Istanbul, this really, truly stood out, and I am so grateful to my friend for the experience. I am also grateful to you. Thank you so much for watching. If you're interested in learning more about my experiences in any of the cities I mentioned, the links to the full videos are available for you below. I hope you watch future videos, and if you haven't done so already, please like and subscribe so that you don't miss them when they come out. Click here to watch another one. I really think you're gonna like it.